Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Let's Learn with Limbic, the show where I analyze my replays in order to identify the mistakes I made so that we can both learn from them. Today we have a TVT on Daybreak. Our opponent is Jin, and we are not going to be skipping to 6 minutes in this replay because there is cheese in this game. This episode is going to talk about scouting and making sure you don't lose to anything that you could have easily prevented. I hope that will all make sense once we get a little further into this replay. So yes, as I mentioned, there is going to be cheese in this episode. Our opponent is going to do ye old Thor drop against us. So let's just see how that pans out for us by fast forwarding. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about skipping ahead in your replays. If there is no cheese and you're not trying to learn a new build, I highly suggest you skip ahead to somewhere between 6 minutes and 8 minutes in your replays. The reason for this is all the important stuff usually happens around that time, and there's not really any point in watching yourself build workers again and again and again. So let's see what I saw when I scouted with my SCV there. I spotted one extra refinery, so I'm already thinking this has got to be some kind of early aggression, because in Terran vs. Terran, you would never take 2 gas this early unless you were planning on doing something a little cheesy. That's cute how he built his armory down here. But that is why I scanned. I said, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to manage to get a regular scout in there anytime soon. So yes, it is a little painful to have to sacrifice a mule this early in the game, but I absolutely must find out what my opponent is doing. So I see a factory building a tech lab and a starport. So I'm thinking, okay, I guess maybe this is Cloak Banshees. That would explain the 2 gas. I don't know why you got this one so early. But I'm thinking, okay, I guess this must be Cloak Banshee. So I just, by the way, this build I'm doing here is the Raven Expand. It's a very nice and safe build to do in Terran vs. Terran. You just get your factory and your starport up. You build a tech lab here, and instead of building a Banshee, you build a Raven. And the Raven usually pops out just in time when the Banshee arrives at your base, so you don't need to build missile turrets in order to deter it. So let's go ahead and up it to ×8, just to see what happens in this game more quickly. No point in just watching us build units. Alright, what happened here? It was the Thor drop, so now I know what this was. The Widowmine went ahead and hit the medevac, which is always nice, and he drops the Thor. Luckily, I have Marines already in my base. It would have been bad if I had them chilling out over here. The reason I had them in my base was because I thought it was a Banshee, so of course you want them in your base. That's also why I did not build this command center on the low ground, because if you know your opponent is going to be aggressive, and you know that you don't really have to worry about falling behind economically because they're being aggressive, go ahead and don't worry about taking extra bases. The nice thing about Terran is, of course, you can just build it in the main, but if you're a Protoss or a Zerg, just go ahead and stay on one less base than you normally would, because if you try to take an extra base and then you try to defend it, well, you're probably just going to lose because you've spread yourself too thin, you put yourself in a less easily defensible location, yada yada yada. Just, you don't have to stick to your build all of the time. So our Raven pops out, I drop the auto turret, and I managed to kill the Thor. So right now, I'm thinking, awesome, I've basically won, right? I'm up on an entire base, which I'm about to go ahead and land. His cheese totally failed, it did hardly anything. I can't imagine myself losing. And unfortunately for me, that is not correct. As you can see, I just built a Viking just to make sure that I can deter off any additional drops. I'm just now getting tanks and getting a reactor on my starport. I should be producing Marines out of here. That's a little sloppy of me. But I'm just macroing up thinking, okay, I'm just going to get up a sizable army and then basically just A-move and destroy him. Unfortunately, The problem with what I'm doing is I assumed he was just going to try and catch up and play super defensive, take a base and just kind of stay back at home, make sure he doesn't lose. So I was figuring, okay, I'm probably safe for at least the next couple of minutes. However, if you look at the minimap, you can see that's definitely not the case. He's going to just kind of yellow and attack me. And you know what? It works for him. Thors are pretty damn good, as you can see. It's just owning my Marines. This tank is about to pop out, but unfortunately, once it does pop out, it just gets immediately destroyed. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, this was a little frustrating, because I thought for sure I had won this game, that there was nothing I could possibly do to cause myself to lose it. And obviously that wasn't the case. So what exactly could I have done? Well, there's a kind of a saying, I'm pretty sure Day 9 said this once, is if you ever find yourself ahead, which we definitely were, we were massively ahead, the two basic things that you need to worry about is just staying ahead, obviously, and scouting. Scouting is huge, because obviously it's always huge, but you want to make sure that nothing like this ever happens to you, because obviously you don't want to lose. If I had just scouted this, I would have said, oh, okay, no problem, I'll just throw down a couple bunkers, make sure I have SCVs repairing it. This tank would have popped out and been able to actually do something instead of just getting immediately destroyed, and I would have held this just fine. And then it would have definitely been game over. Yes, he has two bases here, but there's no way he could have possibly held off any kind of counterattack with his complete lack of production. You can see he only has one barracks, one factory, and one starport, whereas I have three done, three barracks, all with add-ons, a factory, and a starport, and I'm getting my upgrades on the way. If I had held this attack off, this game definitely would have been over. And if I had seen it coming, I could have held it off. So the thing I really want you to take away from here is, when you find yourself ahead, when you hold off your opponent's cheese, to just not get overconfident. Don't think, alright, I've basically won, I just have to macro up and build a nice army, and then I can go A move and claim my delicious ladder points, because that's not the case. You still have to scout, you still have to make sure that your opponent doesn't do anything crazy like this if you want to claim that win that you deserve. Alright, a much shorter episode today. Again, like last one, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Limbic, and I will see you all tomorrow. Wow, I can't believe I got that all in one take. Could it be possible that I'm actually getting good at this? Nah.